All right, welcome back to the seasonal wrap-up show. Before we get into the actual season at hand, which is fall 2021, I got a couple shows from the winter that I still haven't seen. These two in particular right here. So we're gonna jump into those. I'm just gonna do them in this order because it's gonna take fucking forever for me to get to Higurashi since I still haven't seen the first series, so I have to go watch that. But let's start with Uma Musume Season 2. I dropped the first season of this show, but I have been told by several people that you don't need to see the first season to watch the second season. So let's give it a go. Alright, just finished all of Uma Musume Season 2, and holy hell was that good. For a show whose first season I fucking dropped, that was really damn good. I am blown away by how fucking good that was. I don't think it would... I don't want to oversell it either, because, like, this show has been, like... This show fucking came out of nowhere during the winter season, and, blew away everyone's expectations, as it did with mine. I don't think it will place in my top 5 necessarily, but goddamn, this show was good. Again, as I mentioned, I just flat out dropped the first season. I watched like 3 episodes and I fucking hated it. Thought the comedy was not that good. The story wasn't that interesting. And the trainer character was this weird, creepy dude who I did not like. And they got rid of all of that for season 2. And also, you really don't need to watch season 1 to appreciate season 2. Like, it fills you in on all the core world building and plot details that you need to know about this batshit insane world that they've set up. And you can just start from there. It doesn't feel like a reboot per se. It definitely is a sequel proper. Like, there is very obviously stuff that happened in the first season that sets up stuff in the second season. And had the first season been good, I probably would have, like, appreciated that even more. But the first season was not good, so fuck it. And I still really loved this second season. Yeah, this is just a fucking good show. It is so fun and, like, hopeful and inspirational and hot-blooded and exciting. It is like sunshine in a bottle that is, like, radiating and all the fucking photons are bouncing off the inside of the bottle trying to get out. It is so fucking fun. This weird sports slice of life comedy show with these really cool drama elements in it as well. The show is fucking insane. The show is about fucking horse girls who have the names of real life racing horses who compete in horse races in this world, and then when they win, they have a fucking idol concert afterwards. If you haven't heard of Uma Musume, that's what the fucking show is. It's fucking insane and awesome. And it's just fun. This show is so fun. The writing is just, the writing is never mean-spirited or anything like that, which I think I vaguely remember the first season kind of being like that. This is just a very wholesome, straightforward show. Not to say that nothing bad happens in it. In fact, quite a lot of awful stuff happens in this. Particularly with injury. It reminds me a lot of that first arc of, actually all of Megalobox Season 2, where they really confront the realities of how boxing damages the human body. And the same with this show. Like, again, spoilers if you haven't seen this yet. All of these videos are spoiler focused, but so that is your cue to go watch Uma Musume Season 2 now, in case you haven't seen it. But, like, the main character, Teo, she breaks her leg, like, 3 times and constantly has to take off time to recover. And that's another weird thing about the show is time just progresses so fast in the show. I think the show covers like 3 years or something, at least, because like they do the spring race like twice, even though the show starts in like late summer. So and then there's a whole year of time before the final episode or something like that. The characters don't really change their look that much, so that was kind of weird. But a lot of time passes in this show. A lot of time happens for these, and which gives these characters a lot of time to experience things. Like Teo is constantly out with injuries, which damn near crushes her dreams of being like the top Musume, the top horse girl. Like there's like this progression of like she's got this sign up like be the undefeated horse girl to win the Triple Crown, and then like she fractures her leg and she has to cross off Triple Crown because she has to miss a race for it, and then she recovers from that, and then she just completely bites it in one of her races afterwards. She loses to her rival McQueen. I think she only places like 4th or something in that race, and then she has to cross off be undefeated, and the sign just slowly changes to have smaller and smaller goals, and it's really depressing in a sense. It is just it is emotionally dark in a lot of ways. There are a lot of ow my heart moments in this show. And like McQueen has her own share of issues that she has to work through, especially near the end where it feels like this is the end for her. And but the show is also ultimately is insanely positive about it. Maybe a little too much so. Like, that towards the end, it starts to feel like, okay, even positive attitude can't fix these issues. But, goddamn, it tries anyway. And this show is just so optimistic and hopeful and inspirational that I just kind of went with it. I'm like, sure. Yeah, sure. I'll accept this. And of course, that's supported by all of the really phenomenal characters in this show. Like, there's a lot that don't get nearly as much screen time as they should. Perhaps because they got a ton of screen time in season 1. Who knows? I don't. You probably do if you saw season 1, but I don't. But, there are just so many good characters in this. The main characters in this show are really good. Huge fucking shout out to Rice Shower, who, holy fuck, her character arc in this is just fucking A+, phenomenal shit. She is, like, she basically becomes known for, like, cucking records, essentially. Like, she's the one who, like, she causes an undefeated character to lose. She causes another character to not get a 3-in-a-row victory at a particular race. And the audience just starts to see her as a heel, basically. And, like, they legitimately use the word heel, like a wrestling heel in this show. Like a bad guy who stops the good guys. And it's just so cool and also really sad because she doesn't want to be known as a heel. Like, think about that. Like, you not being known for being good, but for being the person who stops other people from reaching milestone records. That must fucking hurt inside. And they really sell that with Rice Shower's character. She is fucking phenomenal, and like her big moment in episode 8 is so fucking hype and amazing. Is she a heel? Is she a hero? She's fucking both. She's phenomenal. I gotta give her Best Girl. In a show with so many great characters, Best Girl goes to Rice Shower. I gotta do it. And her design is so fucking cool too, with the little hat that hangs off to the side. It's fucking cute. All of the designs are really good. Well, most of them are really good. Some get a little too weird and outlandish. Sorry, I'm recording this at like 11:30 at night. Yeah, this was just so, and it was just so pleasant to look at. Great character designs that all feel very unique and tailored to the individual personalities of the characters. The animation rarely looks bad, and its good moments are really fucking good. It's just, yeah, it's so great. Oh, and I forgot about Twin Turbo. Oh, Twin Turbo, she's this precious idiot child, with heterochromia. I fucking love her. She's a fucking spaz idiot, and she's great. I love it. Oh my god. Yeah, this show is really good. I'm not gonna say it's definitely not flawless. No, I mean, no show is flawless, but it definitely has its issues. Like, it definitely pushes the injury thing to its limits. Like, I like it. I love it as a concept. That, again, it's like Megalobox Season 2, where you really start to see the consequences of these athletes pushing themselves as far as they can go, and their bodies just not being able to hold up. But they really do, towards the end, they really push that as far as they can go while still having these characters race constantly. So it definitely strains suspension of disbelief a little bit. I thought I had some other issue that I wanted to talk about, but yeah, good fucking show. It is hype, it is melodramatic, it is inspirational, it's depressing, it's so good. Again, you don't need to watch season 1 to watch season 2. Just jump right into season 2 and have some fucking fun. Yeah, this show's great. Alright, that was pretty damn fucking good. So we're gonna put it, let's put it right here. Can't believe I just pushed Dynazenon out of the top 10, but I really fucking enjoyed that. I might start making some of these strong 8s. Again, I still have to do some score readjustments. By the time I finish Higurashi, I'm sure I will have done some score adjustments on this just to make it a little more spread out. Alright, I'm doing shit out of order, but I don't give a shit. Anyway, before we get to the list proper, I got a couple movies to knock out. Specifically those 2 movies at the top of the list there. Both of which I am watching on my road to 1K, which you might have noticed me on Twitter talking about. But anyway, first we're going to talk about the Violet Evergarden movie, so let's jump into it. Alright, I just watched Violet Evergarden, the movie, which came out this year, I think. Yeah, came out a couple months ago, actually. So, in my road to 1,000 anime watched, I decided to catch up on all of the Violet Evergarden franchise since I've fallen behind a little bit. I watched episode 14, I believe, which is just either called the Violet Evergarden Special or Gaiden or something, which I thought was pretty good. I would replace episodes 12 and 13 of the TV series with that episode, because thematically it just works really well. And then I watched Eternity in the Auto Memory Doll, which I didn't particularly care for. I thought it was just kind of boring mostly. I liked the first half. I thought the first half was okay, and I thought the second half was just kind of boring. And I really only started to feel something at the climax of it. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the movie, which is a whopping 2 hours and 20 minutes. This is a fucking behemoth of a movie that honestly could have had some stuff cut from it. It is especially the first like 50 minutes of this movie feels a little bloated, and honestly, I'm struggling to remember anything that happened in the first 50 minutes outside of the terminally sick kid. Is that when? See, I literally just watched this, and the first 50 minutes are so jumbled to me and like non-existent that I just can't remember it. There's definitely now. Before I get too deep into it, I do think overall this was a okay movie. Maybe I will bump that up to good by the time I'm done talking. But I have a lot of very conflicting feelings about this movie. So, obviously I talked about how stuff could definitely be cut from the beginning of this because it feels so bloated in the beginning. But let's just dive into the main crux of this film, the main hook. Turns out Gilbert's alive. And that spoiler was totally unavoidable to me. Like, I actually knew that going in, and I really wish I didn't, because it set up a lot of expectations for me that did get paid off and didn't get paid off and reversed, and either way, I don't like knowing things going into films. I really don't, or anything really. I don't like knowing I don't like knowing the plot points of anything going into it. So I was a bit disappointed that I had that spoiled for me, especially because it made me not excited to watch this movie. I thought Gilbert being alive undoes a little bit of Violet's growth as a character, and that unraveling is kind of present in this movie. Like, you very much see that as soon as the possibility of Gilbert being dangled in front of her appears, like, Violet completely flips a switch and becomes this incredibly needy and unstable person. Like, she very much has not gotten over Gilbert, which is fine. But in that instance, to me, that should mean that the story arc for this film would be that she needs to get to a place where she is over Gilbert, that she's over this person's death. That is the story arc that I would have liked for this movie. I don't know how they would have gone about it, but that is what I would have preferred, instead of Gilbert's actually alive and he gets to be with Violet at the end of the movie. They do definitely keep it ambiguous as to whether the I love you is like a platonic family kind of thing or a romantic thing. There's really not a lot of romantic implications behind it other than the fact that it's the words I love you. We'll just leave it at that because that's really all I have to say on that. It would be a little bit if it went romantic, but my problem is, like, there's no. Now, see, this is where my super conflicting feelings come into play, because she does sort of get over Gilbert. Like, when Gilbert rejects her because he's a fucking traumatized soldier who can't get over the fact that he turned a child into a weapon, he rejects her, and she comes to terms with the fact that she will have to live without him, and so writes him a final letter saying her goodbye and how much he meant to her and stuff. And I like that. But then he chases after her and she literally jumps off a fucking moving boat and swims to shore for him. And see, this is where it's super conflicting because, like, yes, she got over him, but not really, because she still runs back to his side at the drop of a hat. It's all very conflicted for me. And I can't wholly say I dislike it or like it. Like, it is a nice, happy ending for a series that often has very bittersweet endings. But I don't feel like this was the direction Violet should have taken. Like, this feels very, it feels very weak in comparison to what we could have gotten. I mean, literally the text of the show is Violet gives up her job as an auto memory doll and then goes to live with Gilbert. She gives up her job to go live with a man. And I mean, yeah, she still works at the post office, but I mean, really? Why couldn't it have been Gilbert who reintegrates himself into society? Like, because he's clearly still got some fucking issues. Like, he completely rejects coming back to life. So I feel like he should have been the one to come to Violet. So yeah, actually not. Yeah, I literally just thought of that just now. So that's I am not a fan of this part of the movie, but it still was like a nice happy ending, so I can't hate it. But I tell you what I did like about this movie. I really liked the Yuris, the sick kid. Everything about his arc, fucking phenomenal. That's like peak Violet Evergarden. Love that. Just the way that you see Violet fully maturing as like someone who's like can actually emotionally understand other people, like without having it explained to her. Like, you see the culmination of the series in her interactions with Urias, and I really loved that. Absolutely started crying when he died. Just, yeah, I cried a shit ton. That was very sad. And I like that this whole story is like a framework narrative. It's like a framed narrative about like basically like however many years later, like 60 something years later, probably 60 or 70 years later, like it's framed around the granddaughter of the little girl from episode 10, like chasing after the legacy of Violet and seeing like how much she impacted the people around her. I really like the idea of that. That was a really cool idea. Hodgins being like a dad figure was really kind of cool as well. Like that. Yeah, that's all I really have to say on it. I will say though, I made some remarks on Twitter about how I'm not nearly as into the soundtrack for Violet Evergarden as other people are. But it's mostly in how the tracks are used. It's not that Evan Call's music is subpar or even average. It's really good music. It's fucking full orchestral music. It's good shit. It's just the implementation of it I have a problem with at times, especially in Eternity and the Auto Memory Doll. I thought the music placement in that was not appropriate a lot of the times. This movie, though, it was on point, nonstop, fucking peak Evan Call music, peak placement of his music. Loved it. Good shit. And of course, phenomenal animation all around. Really, the only thing I could possibly critique is like some of the CG waves like of the water and stuff. That's literally the only thing that's possibly wrong with this movie. Phenomenally animated, phenomenally shot too. I loved the framing of a lot of these shots, especially when you have like the characters on the very edge of the frame. I've really grown accustomed to I've really grown into liking that shot. It's a very anime shot now that I think about it. And it has a lot of implications depending on what scene it's in. But yeah, overall, I would say I liked this movie. I have a lot of problems with it. It could have been better, but overall, it gave a happy ending and put a what looks like a final cap in the Violet Evergarden story. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Let's go to the list. All right, I think I have a good place for this one. I have to stop being afraid of not liking stuff as much as other people. Peer pressure can really be a bad thing sometimes, but, I mean, decent 7. That was an okay movie. I'm shocked that I rated it as highly as I did considering all my complaints, but I actually did like quite a bit of this movie. Anyway. Depending on whatever I'm watching next, most likely I will be getting, the next in this video will be Gintama the Final, which I'm going to see in theaters in a couple days, or I might watch the Higurashi sequels. We'll see. You're about to find out right now. Alright, I just got back from seeing Gintama the Very Final in theaters. Shout out to 11 Arts for making this happen. And yes, I am in my full Gintoki cosplay. Went to the theater like this, although there was only one other person there, but he was wearing like a Gintama hoodie or something. Yeah, that was almost everything that I wanted out of this final movie. Gintama is finally over. It's actually been like, aside from the semi-final, which I watched a little while ago, a couple months ago. Actually, it was only like a month ago or so. But aside from that, the last time I saw Gintama was like almost 2 years ago, when Silver Soul was wrapping up. So it's been a hot minute since I saw it, so I binged like some compilations of arcs and stuff. There was a good Twitter thread I found to just like remind me of stuff that happened. Although I didn't really need it anyway, because the film takes like 5 minutes or so to recap all the important stuff, but it's Dragon Ball Z instead of Gintama. Well, actually, it's Silver Balls is what it is. The opening gag of this film, sorry to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but the opening gag of this film, fucking amazing. They went all out for this fucking gag. Absolutely loved it. Like, at first I was like the lead into the gag, I was like, wow, this is a interesting color palette and texture for this film, and then it turned into the DBZ gag. I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. Naruhodo, I get it, and yeah, fucking loved it. The comedy in this film just fucking amazing, as Gintama comedy usually is. Like, people like to say, like, as you know, I'm not someone who says you have to suffer through something to get to the good parts of something. People like to talk about how you need to just get over the comedy in Gintama to get to the good story parts. And honestly, I would say the comedy is the better part of Gintama. Like, it has a really great story and some good themes to it, but I would say the comedy is the main draw of Gintama. So if you don't like the comedy, don't watch Gintama. You're wasting your time. But yeah, loved the comedy in this. Like, and that actually kind of plays into like a few of my minor faults with the film is like there's a stretch from like after that opening gag up until the next big gag happens. There's like a stretch. I don't know how long it was exactly, of like 15 minutes ish, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even longer than that, where it's just fight scenes. And they're fine fight scenes. They're good, but they're very standard fight scenes. There wasn't a lot that stood out with them. The later fight scenes were fucking great. Like, they were really solid. But this just felt like a fight scene connecting to gags, which is ironic considering how you would normally think about stuff. Normally, like in other shows, there would be a gag connecting to fight scenes. Or like a cooldown moment connecting to fight scenes. But it's the opposite in Gintama, because Gintama is kind of the opposite of that. Where the gags are kind of more important in a sense. Not more important, but I would say equally as important as the fight scenes. And so that opening, like, climbing the terminal tower was not quite as good as it could have been. And that's really my only notable criticism with the film. Otherwise, I fucking loved it. The resolution to Utsuro / Shoyo's story, the resolution to Takatsugi's arc, all phenomenal. Very, very emotional. The emotional climax of this film was so fucking good. I did tear up in the theater a little bit, as I typically do with Gintama, because it really hammers in about how the human connections that we build with each other, and how everything we do is connected to the lives of other people. And that's why I really liked the way the fight climax I also really loved, which came afterwards, where it's like, at first it looks like just Shoyo is going to be doing it by himself, and then literally the entire cast joins in to help him, because if you haven't seen my video on Gintama from a couple years ago, it's basically, Gintama is about community and about the bonds that you form with your community. And so it's only fitting that the entire community comes together to finish the job. It can't be just one person doing it in the end. It has to be everyone. It has to be a communal effort. And that's what I love about Gintama. All of these people who have lost so much along the way can still come together to support each other in the end. It's just so good. I just love that about Gintama. And it also has like the ending is like very, it's almost Return of the King-ish, in just like it never ends, but it's all gags at the end. It's like it just the gag keeps going and going and going, and they kind of lampshade it too. It's like, this is the end. There's not gonna be any more after this, so we gotta get this shit in while we can. So like they really go. Everyone gets their like 15 seconds of gags at the end. And there was a really interesting like societal point, I guess, in it at the end, where it's like it turns out to be a gag fake out by the end of it, but it actually presents an interesting idea. As like, in Gintama, the capital of Japan was always known as Edo. It's always Edo in Gintama, because that's the period that it's set in. It's set in like a post Meiji, like just after Meiji Restoration. So that's what the capital of Japan was known as at the time. But in this like extensive gag sequence at the end, we get like a flash forward to the future, and they refer to it as Tokyo, which is what Edo eventually changed its name to. And it's all modernized and stuff like this. And that was just a really interesting point. Like, we're finally moving forward with Japan's history. We've finally gotten over the turbulence of the Meiji Restoration. and all of that. So that was a really interesting idea, even though it turned into a gag at the end. Uh, I was mildly disappointed about no confirmation of any ships, no romance from any characters at the very end. But I mean, Gintama was never really about that, so I'm not too bad about it. I'm not gonna be like, this takes off so points or anything. I'm like, it's all in my head. I know who my ships are, and I like them that way. I get to imagine everyone going forward with their lives, and it surprisingly for how much the ending drags on, it does leave it kind of open-ended as to where everything goes from there. Like you get your final happy ending, and then everyone just lives on from there as they are prone to do. Odd Jobs, Yorozuya does not end. It just there's just more to it. That's all I really have to say about the story, I guess. Animation wise, to be perfectly honest, I think ever since Gintama Circle, whatever that is, whatever the circle is, that was like the high point of the animation for me, and it's been on a slow decline since then. The movie was definitely better than previous seasons of the anime. Like Silver Soul definitely had some animation issues, but it never quite reached, especially in that opening fight scene I mentioned. Everything just looked kind of plain and normal. Later fight scenes definitely looked fucking great, and there were some really great artistic moments where it like highlights the eternity that Utsuro has been living through. There's some really cool visuals like that. A bit reminiscent of the Diavolo climax in JoJo Part 5. Sort of reminiscent of that. There's some very artsy kind of animation going on there that was really cool. There were a couple animation issues here and there. It could have been a little more polished, but the high notes were hit as expected, and there were some damn good fight scenes near the end. Before the gag end, I should say. And this song, and there's like 3 insert songs in this too, which was really fucking cool. Wadachi by Spy Air was in it, and then there were 2 songs by Does. I think Breakdown was the name of one of them, and I forgot the other name of them. Forgot the name of the other one, but definitely gonna look those up because I want those. Killer soundtrack as always from Gintama. And that's it. Gintama it's finally over. Now I get to go back and binge it all. Yay! That's not going to happen for a very long time. I don't have time to binge 350 episodes of something. You're fucking crazy. I know the Blu-ray for this is coming out early next year though, so I'm excited for that. Now, that's about all I have to say on Gintama. Definitely go watch it if you haven't already. Go watch Gintama if you haven't already. It's fucking good. So, let's go back to the list. Alright, Gintama... Whoopsies. Didn't mean to do that. Gintama the Final is done. We're going to scroll all the way up to the top of the list here. And we're going to put it right up there. Top 5 for the year so far. I fucked this up. I'll fix it later. But we're going to give this a light 9. I fucking love Gintama, and that was a really good ending. But in any case, only one show left to catch up on. And it's this one. I've already seen, at this point I have seen the first season of Higurashi. Now I have to watch Kai and Rei, and then I can jump into this to see if I actually finish it. So let's watch Higurashi 2020. Alright, that was, not great. Not great. I got about 6 episodes into Higurashi Gou. I'd actually been catching up on Higurashi in general because I hadn't seen all of it before. I had only seen up to episode either 17 or 19 of the original series. And that was like 6 or 7 years ago because I can tell you exactly where I put it on. I didn't drop it before. I put it on hold before because I got to the fingernail scene and my weak little constitution went, nope, 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 and on right out of that. Nope. If you haven't seen Higurashi and don't know what I'm talking about, you're in for a treat. Go watch the original Higurashi. I know the watch order's a little confusing. You just need to watch Season 1, Kai, and Rei. That's all you need to watch. Other stuff is spin-off stuff. It's not necessary to the plot. But, just watch that, because Go is just very much inferior in most ways. The kills are more goofy and less horrifying. The overall animation is notably weaker. Like, I made a tweet about it. Like, I compared there's a scene in episode 6, 5 or 6. I think it's episode 6, I'm not sure. But it might be episode 5, actually. Whatever. The scene where in the cotton drifting, well, in the first series, it's called the cotton drifting arc. In Go, it's called cotton deceiving, I think. It's the scene where Keiichi knocks over the bikes on accident. And, Shion, I think? Mion or Shion? I can't remember which one it is. Which one of the twins shows up to defend Keiichi. And then all of a sudden, the villagers start, like, gathering around. Watch those two scenes from the original and from Go, and you will immediately see why Go is so inferior to the original. It's got weaker character animation, weaker facial expressions, weaker lighting choices, weaker music choices. Like, it's still got a Kenji Kawai score, it's just the implementation of his score is worse. The lighting is so much worse. It's just all around worse. Like, really, the only reason I got past the first couple episodes is because I was just genuinely curious about where the story was going, because it's a sequel. It's not a reboot. Like, it's very, like, of course, you would only know it's a sequel if you've seen the original, because episode 2, they jump right into the Rika and Hanyu stuff, like, right away. But apparently it's not till like episode 13 or episode 14, I think, where stuff deviates. By the time I got fed up, I just started reading through wiki summaries, and then I watched Kemen Ya's video on Go and Sotsu, which you should definitely watch. And I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I'm out. This sounds awful. This sounds like the worst fucking thing ever, because it seems like it's very much missing the point of Higurashi. The main themes of it. But seriously, why the fuck would you make Satoko the antagonist? Why would you do that? What would possess you to do that? It's not good. Don't watch it. Just go watch the original Higurashi. Like, yeah, the original Higurashi definitely has some animation problems. I'm not going to deny that. But at least it has good shot composition and good lighting choices. Because Higurashi Gou also has notable animation problems, but it also has weaker shot composition and lighting choices. So it doesn't even have that to get through. I might post if I remember to, I'll post my tweet about it in the description, just so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And there was also this really bad scene. It has the worst attempt at like trees blowing in the breeze that I've ever seen, where it's basically they just took a still image of trees, and it's like they took put it in Photoshop and just started warping different areas. Like, you know how you like animate characters in Photoshop? It's just like, it looked like bubbles like expanding and contracting on the image. It looked so fucking bad. Yeah, Higurashi Gou, not good. Moving on. Alright, we're gonna take Higurashi off the fucking list. you may have noticed that there's another series from earlier that I didn't put, that wasn't on the list before. SD Gundam World Heroes. I totally didn't even know that this was airing during the spring and summer seasons. I like me some Gundam. It's been probably almost 20 years since I've seen an SD Gundam series, so I'm not sure how I'm going to like it. Hopefully it's good. The mouse score says otherwise, but I hope it's good. Let's check out some Gundam. Well, I gave it a try. It was not very substantial plot-wise. I made it about halfway through the first episode and realized that I knew basically nothing of what was happening. Most of that might be due to the fact that it was, I guess, a sequel, apparently, to a I think it was like it's an OVA from 29, or ONA from 2019 that had 15, 16-minute episodes, or maybe those numbers were flipped. So, I can't be missing too much well, I probably am, but I don't think I would have enjoyed it with the context anyway. I didn't hate this. Like, I'm surprised that I didn't hate this. It seems like very passive entertainment. Like, the vast majority of the first half of the episode that I watched was all fight scenes, and they were decent fight scenes, all CG, but decent fight scenes. It's just there was basically no story there whatsoever in the first half of the first episode, so I'm basically just like, alright, I don't know what the fuck I'm here for, so maybe I'll check out the first season, see what's up, who knows. But anyway, back to the list. Alright, gonna take that off the list, and that wraps up all the catch-up that I've been doing. Now, normally, the next video you would see would just be me rolling right into the standard RNG stuff for the fall season, but it is currently only the first week of December that I am recording this, but there are already at least 3 shows that are done, and it's these first 3 here. We got a movie, a Netflix series, and Heike Monogatari, a TV series. And I think Blue Fury will probably be done as well by the time I get through all of these. So, for the first edition, at least for the first few entries of the fall seasonal wrap-up show, I will just be doing these in order, and then wait for the rest of the season to end, and then binge everything else. So, look forward to the seasonal wrap-up show, fall 2021, coming to a shitty YouTube channel near you. Yay.